All right, today we got why it's impossible to beat Michael Jackson. And my opinion already is because he's dead and you guys are still trying to compete with him after he's been gone for like 20 years. So, you know what I'm saying?
Although it certainly never went away, it feels like everyone is gripped by a new dose of MJ fever. MJ fever was the phenomenon that swept across the world ever since he transitioned from the Jackson 5 to reimagine pop as we knew it with Off the Wall in 1979. Simply put, you really had to be there to grasp the absolute grip he had on the world. But somewhere along the way, with each year passing, it seems we've somehow hit a point where certain artists genuinely believe they've matched or even eclipsed MJ. Because right now, no one is trying harder to force that direct comparison quite like Drake. Back in the day, a noticeably more humble Drake always paid his respects, going as far to say that if any artist thought they were doing well, they only needed to look back at Michael's peak to understand what true success looks like.
If you ever think you're doing well in your career, you should definitely go watch that because you're absolutely nowhere near what this guy was doing. He pushed himself further and further, did things that I can't even comprehend, like choreographed dancing and everything. I mean, he was just,
That's another thing too, like, just the whole package of Michael Jackson, you can't really like replicate, you know what I'm saying? Like, people say, you can say that Drake's music is at the Michael Jackson level, but does Drake perform like Michael Jackson? I've been for some reason on my TikTok and Instagram, I've been seeing like the Dangerous performance where he's in the suit performing on stage. Bro, that's what I call a performance. I love watching it. It's just different. I don't know.
The greatest.
As Drake's own fame exploded, his reverence for MJ remained intact, culminating in 2018 when he built the track Don't Matter to Me around unreleased 1983 MJ vocals. But right after that, something shifted. Drake started shattering industry records and lapping other legendary acts.
Any toppings for only 13.
The feedback was a resounding.
Yeah. Again, no one has ever fainted to Drake popping up on stage. You know, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, you can have music at the same level as Michael Jackson, but culture, like aura. No offense to Drake fans, but I don't think Drake has the same amount of aura as Michael Jackson. No one has fainted to Drake popping up. If Drake started his show, just stood there for 2 minutes and did nothing at a show, people would hug him. I think people would actually leave the stadium or wherever he's performing because he's just not like that. No offense to bro, but it's just levels to this, you know what I'm saying?
No. But after all these years of vocal and silent respect towards MJ, it seemed like some of this started finding its way into the psyche of Drake, because these days, he's teetering on being actively disrespectful to MJ's legacy. This ongoing trend was arguably presaged during the Kendrick and Drake beef on Family Matters, with Drake randomly spitting, Michael was praying his features would change so people would believe he's actually white. This was a questionable line that stirred something in MJ fans, but never culminated in a major storm of controversy. After all, this was a man who dropped $123,000 on a signed silver glove of Michael's. Whether or not it was the intention when it was first purchased, this personal item of Michael's would soon become a self-aggrandizing prop of Drizzy's when he posed wearing it on the cover of Iceman. This could have seemed like another effort to pay homage, but the context in which this image was unveiled basically let people know what the intention really was. Courtesy of the track Janice STFU, Drake nabbed his 14th #1 single, officially surpassing MJ's record that he'd previously equaled. And by way of how many songs from the 42-track set made the billboards, he also became the first artist in history to surpass 400 total entries on the chart. After the fact, Drake unveiled an alternative cover on IG that featured MJ writing, "Neck broke from carrying the chain, back broke from carrying the game, records broken carrying on my name, carry on, carry on." Based on the album cover, the timing, and the visuals on his IG, it became pretty obvious.
But that's nothing to like brag about, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, no offense to bro, I don't got a problem with Drake, but I'm just saying, how many songs did Drake have? And only 14 of them have been like #1s. And then you hold on, gun to the back of your head. What 14 songs do you think Drake has that or that are the 14 number one. Oh, I'm saying God's Plan. Wait, let me not answer that question because I wouldn't know. I can't name. Can I name 10 Drake songs? Nonstop. God's Plan. No, Views is an album. Take Care is an album, right? Laugh Now, Cry Later. Family Matters. Push Ups. Janice Shut. STFU. National Treasure. Oh, let me stop.
What Drake was implying. By virtue of his chart dominance, in his head, he was now in the conversation alongside MJ, if not above him. But when you really break it down, things just aren't comparable. For one thing, Drake's numbers are of a fundamentally different kind, right down to his first 2 number ones coming from Rihanna in the form of What's My Name in 2010 and Work in 2016. In terms of pure sales, the only metric that there was in MJ's day, the numbers don't even slightly add up, with Michael also not being able to take over every playlist on Spotify to boost.
That's true. There was no playlist, no Spotify, no SoundCloud, no Apple Music. People had to go outside. There wasn't even eBay where you can just like order the song. You had to go outside, go to the store, buy it. Again, you're trying to compare yourself. This is like an easier market to go crazy in a sense. Like if you're a smaller artist, no, it's a way easier. It's an easier time to be an artist than ever. It's a way easier to be an artist than ever before. Like before, like a Tupac, like Michael Jackson, Prince, and all of them. People actually had to get out of their houses and go buy the albums. You know what I'm saying? There was no easy way to like get these songs. So I would say 100,000 like songs. Back in the 100,000 like sales on a song or sales of a record count back in the day count way more than I would say like 10 million today. That's what I think. Just off the sense of I can listen to Drake songs for free on SoundCloud or Spotify, but I don't think I would ever nowadays go outside, go to the store, and buy my favorite rapper's album. No, I wouldn't do that.
To sales in the manner that Drake did when Scorpion was released. There's also the matter of quantity. During his career, MJ only released 67 singles as a lead artist and 8 as a featured performer. Meanwhile, Drake has unveiled 189 as a solo artist alone. During his career, Drake has dropped 14 albums, 7 since 2018 alone, and that's even without touching on the various surprise drops and other distribution methods he's enlisted. MJ released just 10 in total, with most of his fans not even really counting those he made before he moved from Motown and started his off-the-wall era on Epic. There's also the small matter of global dominance. Recently, Drake had to cancel shows in Australia and New Zealand after only 4 of 16 sold out. Meanwhile, all 50 of Michael's planned comeback residency shows.
Again, different levels. Had Michael Jackson had to cancel a show because of low ticket sales? Who knows? I would say no. But, difference.
Shows at London's O2 Arena officially sold out within a few hours, shifting a record-breaking 1 million tickets. Crazily, he headlined 11 of the 57 known concerts to have sold at least 100,000 tickets, most of which took place during the His Story and Dangerous tours. At one stage, he even held the record for the most shows performed back-to-back at London's Wembley Stadium, racking up 7 in a row and performing to over 504,000 people. This stood for decades before finally being beat. Like Drake, Taylor basically began as a disciple of Jackson's, discussing how lucky she felt just to be in the same field as him.
I just want to say that music has never been ultimately about competition, and to even be mentioned in a category with Michael Jackson, who we will miss and love forever, is an unimaginable honor.
Following a lengthy career that took her to heights that were unforeseen for most, she reached a tipping point around the release of her Folklore album, where she basically became the biggest star in the world. This was then cemented by the Eras Tour, a multi-billion-dollar achievement that made her the most profitable act of all time. This wasn't the only area in which she was breaking records either. They continued to be broken when it came to sales, with the release of 2025's The Life of a Showgirl receiving the highest album equivalent units in history, beating Adele's 25 and delivering the biggest opening week in Billboard 200 history. On paper, this dwarfs Michael's biggest first week, with Bad delivering approximately 2.25 million copies in its opening week. However, there are a few reasons why Taylor's numbers can't be discounted, but somewhat demystified. A major part of Taylor's sales strategy revolves around ticket bundles and limited physical copies, across variants, acoustic editions, and deluxe versions of albums with bonus tracks that leverage her.
She doing the method. She flooding the market with different things related to the thing. So it just makes it seem bigger instead of people. She's doing the method. I feel it.
Bigger sales. Taylor releasing upwards of 38 variations of the same album is pretty transparent in its intention.
38?
It boosted her to 200+ million pure sales, which is basically unprecedented for the time. However, not only does it not compare to MJ's 500+ million and Thriller being the biggest selling album of all time with over 70 million sold worldwide, the kind of chart manipulation tactics that Taylor uses simply didn't exist in MJ's era. But what about artists who have channeled MJ's R&B side? One of these figures is, of course, Chris Brown, a former child star whose career began at 16. Chris has since scored 13 consecutive top 10 albums. Over the years, MJ's fingerprints have been pretty obvious, leading him to even be enlisted for tributes to the late icon at award shows, replicating his moves and performing his songs. At one stage, he even sampled MJ's Human Nature on She Ain't You. Yet, even though he'd paid tribute to MJ from time to time, he's never really accepted comparisons to the great himself.
And you've always given it to Michael Jackson. But now you're getting people where they say, man, Chris is better than. You know what I'm saying? How do you take that?
That's cap.
I'm glad you said that.
That is cap.
This was self-awareness on Chris's part. As a man who hadn't had a #1 since 2019's Indigo, even mimicking the cover of Thriller for his new record Brown couldn't stop it from getting his worst reviews to date. Not to mention selling a relatively meager 65,000 first week and peaking at #7. Combined with the fact that many people simply won't engage with his music over the well-covered DA situation with
Damn, that situation really harmed his whole career, bro. That's the first thing I think about before any Chris Brown song, just straight. That's the only thing I think about when I hear Chris. First thing I think about.
Chris probably knows he'll never have the same global appeal as MJ, but another man who regularly conjures up comparisons to Jackson is The Weeknd. One such a shadowy figure that Pitchfork didn't even know if he was a person or a group. Abel Tesfaye allowed the audience to fill in the blanks, much the same as Michael would in his heyday where interviews were rare. Possessing a unique falsetto that inevitably caused comparison to MJ, The Weeknd is open about the fact that MJ essentially inspired him to sing in the first place.
I always use Michael as, first and foremost, as a vocal inspiration. And Off the Wall was definitely the one that made me feel like I could sing. I found my falsetto because of Off the Wall, but
although his early work was essentially in its own niche, his work from Beauty Behind the Madness onwards has enabled the influence of MJ's Off the Wall era and beyond to come to the fore. From Can't Feel My Face to I Feel It Coming, there's no shortage of Weeknd tracks which share DNA with Michael's signature sound. In fact, the track Wake Me Up was so evidently inspired by Thriller that he and Justice had to pay royalties to Rod Templeton.
Damn, that would be one of the worst things in the world, where you think, like it's like YouTube, you think you just tweaked the original product so much, you tweaked it so much to hope that you don't get copyright stricken, and then they listen to the song and like, nah, it's mine still, give me that. Nah, I know that percussion. That's from Thriller. Give me that. But yeah, that's crazy.
By harnessing the poppy elements of Michael's golden era and fusing it with his own trademark sound, Abel has achieved incredible success. Although he too was defeated by Taylor, his After Hours Till Dawn tour is the highest grossing tour by a male solo artist in history, crossing the $1 billion mark in gross sales across 7.5 million tickets. But before there was Abel, the man who most frequently garnered comparisons to Michael was none other than Justin Timberlake. With his own dance flair and enigmatic vocals, the comparison was easy for people to see. He was even a fellow child star. During MJ's lifetime, the connection grew to the point that Justin and NSYNC actually inducted him into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Later, Justin tried to write for MJ with the song Gone. However, this track that was intended for the King of Pop would actually go on to inspire him to leave his group just like Jackson did, and branch out on his own, even if it meant that he missed out on the chance to release the track with Michael. He called me on the phone and said that he wanted to cut the record, but he wanted it to be a duet between himself and I, Timberlake said. And I said, well, we've already cut the song as an NSYNC record. Could we do like NSYNC featuring Michael Jackson or Michael Jackson featuring NSYNC? And he was very absolute about the fact that he wanted to be a duet between himself and I. Claiming that it was the first time I ever really felt the confidence to do it, his debut studio album Justified bore clear hallmarks of MJ's sonic template and the dance moves just to top it off. However, there were few people who'd really suggest that he was truly next to step into Michael's shoes. Even MJ himself didn't buy the comparison, but still kept things polite.
Michael, I would love to hear what you thought of Justin Timberlake or something like that, because he's the closest.
let me guess. Justin's cool, but he don't gotta like me. He ain't cool like me. He ain't as bad as me. He not smooth like me. I'm smooth like a criminal. Like, no offense to Mike, no offense to Justin, but he a cool guy. But he's just not Michael.
Thing to Michael Jackson, I think, today. You know what I mean?
Well, I think Justin's doing a wonderful job, as well as Usher, and it's great to see.
Although they didn't link up on Gone, JT later got his wish of collaborating with his idol on Love Never Felt So Good, the lead single from the posthumously released Escape album. These days, Justin isn't exactly at the peak of his commercial powers, and the MJ comparisons have long since.
Yeah, I see why. Camouflage jacket and pants, redneck scarf, and a deer button-up. Yep. Understand it.
Ended. However, the same can't be said for Bruno Mars.
All right. Let me get into my bag because I was thinking about this like sometime during last week. In a perfect world, in my perfect world, Bruno Mars would be considered the next Michael Jackson. Why? Because Bruno Mars does not miss. In my humble and correct opinion, Bruno Mars has never missed in the years I've listened to his songs. From his first album, second album, from Silk Sonic, he has not missed. Bruno Mars, I don't care what you have to say. I don't care if you think he went too mainstream or whatever. His songs still slap.
Years before he was tearing up stages in his own right, Bruno was impersonating Michael in talent shows. The likeness was so uncanny that on talk shows, he's regularly asked to give them a little bit of that MJ flair.
Michael Jackson would always go,
Uncanny similarity is so pronounced that if you...
But you know what they say, right? They say allegedly that Bruno Mars is Michael Jackson's son. I watched a video. I watched a short about it. I'm not sure if it's true or not. But apparently, Michael Jackson did have a what's the thing called? Not illegitimate baby, or just a random child that he doesn't claim. And he always wanted a son named Peter because he liked Peter Pan. Apparently, Bruno Mars' real name is Peter. And hey, you never know.
Go deep enough online, you'll find people putting forth the theory that Bruno is Michael's illegitimate son. And while MJ isn't his father, the singer-songwriter behind 7 Diamond certified songs clearly has no shortage of admiration for his predecessor in the world of disco and soul. With albums like 24K Magic welcoming plenty of comparison to the King of Pop, Bruno was among the closest we have to a modern-day Michael. But even he'd say it simply isn't the same. Unlike all of the artists listed, MJ reached the height of fame during a time when what we had was known as a monoculture. Prior to the internet, what everyone consumed was basically dictated by tastemakers and other cultural entities who determined what reached the airwaves, magazines, or television screens. And while tracks from all these musicians who have followed the...
And that's also a reason no one will ever... There will never be another superstar or any more superstars, in my personal opinion, I think there will never be after this, there will never be any more superstars ever again, because not everybody doesn't listen to the same thing. Not everybody likes the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, for Michael Jackson, your grandpa, your mom, you, and like your nieces or nephews know a Michael Jackson song, right? But I don't think that's ever going to happen again, because like even now, I don't think if I were to call my mom right now and ask her to name one Drake song, I don't think she could. And that's not because Drake's not a big artist, it's because everybody's off in their own world doing their own thing. You know what I'm saying? You can disagree with me and say, "Oh, this person's a superstar," but then we have to start classifying what do you consider a superstar. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if this person? Let me put it like this: my description of a superstar is, you can ask anybody in the whole world where they have internet, right? Or access to the internet. You can show them a pic. You have to be able to show them a picture, or show them a song, and they have to be able to like name the song, or just know it, or be able to say that person's name. That's what I think a superstar is. You know.
His footsteps were huge. There's no way for us to fathom how big those MJ records were. And more impressively, he did it before social media. Even without that constant connection to his fans, the degree of celebrity Michael had is unparalleled.
Yeah, bro, you're gonna go to the grocery store.
Doing things as simple as grocery shopping.
And we go to the movies. Both of us like going to the movies. So we go to the movies, but it's hard because Michael got to sneak in the movie right before it starts. So Michael come in there like with a ninja suit on. He's hiding and all black. All of a sudden, I'm sitting there like, where's Michael? And then I turn around. He's like, hey, Chris. I'm like, oh, man. How long you been here? About 5 minutes.
Michael Jackson got to pull up in a shiesty just to go to the theaters, and not like y'all who pull up to the theaters in a ski mask just because you think you got ops in the suburbs.
Far too young after a difficult last period of his life that was marred by scandal and addiction, it ultimately ensured that there were no diminishing returns and his legacy was solidified. It's just a shame that those last few years leading up to it had to be so hard, with Michael trying to mount a comeback for that run of London shows that ultimately never took place.
Well, can we just do it again without the negative saying that you don't like the tour?
I don't like it though.
I know, but see,
I go through
what
hell.
Is it setting up though? I don't know.
I go through hell touring. Okay, then
touring is
I'll make it positive then.
Yeah, it's just
well, you know the truth.
Yeah.
Okay.
and
I'm not gonna lie, that's the end of this video because my computer is being weird. But other than that, deuces.